Members of the jury, my name is Wesley Stone. I introduced myself to you earlier. I represent Mr. Gaul. I'm reminded as Mr. Allen went through his opening statements of something that he emphasized yesterday, and I want to re-emphasize it now. And that is that Mr. Gaul has the presumption of innocence. But at the same time, if you all were asked to vote guilty or not guilty because you're not heard any evidence, you would have to vote not guilty. And so everything that Mr. Allen has just told you is what he believes is his theory of the case, that what he thinks the evidence is going to show. Now, there is no doubt that you will hear some of the most bizarre, reckless conduct of my client. You will hear it. That's what you will hear throughout the context of this trial. But the way this is going to work is, the state makes their opening statements, we make our opening statements. They have the burden of proof, so they have to do that part first. Then they start calling witnesses. We examine those witnesses. In my cross-examination, we may introduce some exhibits to their witnesses, and then they call another witness, and we go through that process. And you're not to make a decision until after you heard all of the evidence. Everyone. From everybody. And even when you heard the evidence, then we get back up and we'll argue. Alan will go first. He represents the state of Tennessee. He has the burden of proof. I go second. Because he has the burden, then he does what's called a rebuttal argument. And then at that point, the judge will instruct you on the law. And it's not until you all are seated back in your jury room, for those of you who have served on juries, you know what that means, right? Then that's when you start making your decision. In about 2014, and I can't tell you exactly when that happened, Riley Gaul was a junior at Central High School. He was playing football for Central High School. He was a junior. Emma Walker was a freshman. It was about when Mr. Gaul was 16 years old, still a child, at the age of 16, when he met Emma Walker. And I may be a little wrong on this. I do struggle with dates of birth and calculate those. Probably why I'm not an accountant, but nonetheless, she was about 14 years old. If I'm a little wrong on that, I'm sorry, but she was about 14 years old. She was about 16 when they started dating. It was a 2-year relationship. And that relationship went on for a period of 2 years. It was not always a healthy relationship. Emma would say things bad to Riley. Riley would say things bad to her. But that's not how the relationship started. And it is true, I suspect, I've not spoken with Jill or Mark Walker, but I suspect that they will say they didn't want Riley around her daughter. But for a period of 2 years, and we submit to you up until November the 20th, and maybe into the morning of the 21st, they were still having communications with each other. Mr. Merritt interviewed a lot of people in this case. James Hurst interviewed a lot of people in this case. And I've listened to those interviews. And one of the things that just stands out in my mind of what some of the things that Mr. Merritt said, and I'm paraphrasing now, but I've got it written down, that he didn't know what Riley was thinking. Don't know what his intentions were. Don't know what he was thinking when all this was going on. Another thing that Mr. Merritt said was this relationship was a tumultuous relationship. I think somebody described it as a pretty crazy relationship. But I think what the evidence will show you is that this was a very on and off relationship. And Mr. Allen's correct. These two individuals would say they're blocking each other, not block each other, talk, block. And there are. I didn't know how much information can be on a cell phone until this case. The numbers of text messages, the numbers of calls, the numbers of images is enormous. I think Ms. Martin would agree with that. But nonetheless, there was this over and over communications of these two young children. In August of 2016, Riley Gaul turns 18 years old. And I remember how smart I was, how intelligent I was and how much more I knew than my parents at 18. Now I know how little I knew. But nonetheless, August of 2016, these events start occurring in November 2016, so 18 years, and about 3 months later, Riley Gaul, you will hear, bizarre, reckless, you'll hear it. We'll start with the November 18th events. November 18th events occur at Sarah Seaton's house. I think the evidence will show that Riley Gaul had been over to that home several times before November 2016 because he played football for Central. This is one of the places where all the kids would go after football games and hang out. And so Riley does send these bizarre text messages. And I think if you notice, and they'll come in, you'll notice that Emma sort of played along with these text messages. And one of the things she says is, LOL. Who is this? I know one of your friends, but I know this is one of Riley's friends or something. LOL. And this November 18th event is one of the events that the state says forms the basis for the especially aggravated stalking charge that's contained in count 2. And the reason they say that is because there was some unconsented contact. Well, you'll see the text message between Emma and this unknown number back and forth. You'll see that. But what you won't see is that this person is threatening to harm Emma. I submit to you what the evidence will show is that what Riley was trying to do is get an opportunity to see Emma. That's what he was trying to do. They had been in a 2-year relationship. He wanted to talk to her. He wanted to reason with her. And she wouldn't talk to him, which is sort of the history of their relationship. But it was successful. Right? Because what you're going to hear is Heather McDonald was one of the people everybody interviewed, and what she said was then, and I suspect she'll say it now, was that she looks out the window and she says, Emma, that's Riley out there. And what does Emma do? She goes outside. She didn't have to go outside. And this, depending on who you talk to or who you listen to, there were at least 2 times that she went outside. One person, I think, and that might have been Zach Green, even said 3 times. But nonetheless, she went out 3 times. And after Haley McDonald said, looked out the window and said, that's Riley. Emma goes out and talks to him. They argue. Yes, they argue. Their relationship, they argue. So he leaves. He never threatens her. Never does anything. The next morning, they're using the November 19th incident at the 6802 card bill to show the other unconsented contact. Remember, jury, I think the evidence will show at the conclusion of this case that Riley Gaul was not the person who was beating on the door. Because what you won't hear and what you won't see in the text messages between Emma and this group of people, and between Emma and Mr. Gaul, and maybe 1 or 2 other people, what you won't see is, you won't see her say, I knew it was Riley. Here's a person she had seen for 2 years. Saw how they stood, saw how they walked, saw how they ran, saw how they did all kinds of things. But she didn't say, oh, I just saw Riley trying to get into my house. And what does she do? The evidence will show that what she did was she reached out to Riley. And what she said was, I hate you, but I need you. And Riley says, I'm on my way. Riley says, I'm on my way. What she did not do was she did not reach out to Mark Walker, her father. She did not reach out to Jill Walker, her mother. She did not reach out to law enforcement. And by the way, nobody reached out to law enforcement from the November 18th events that night. But she reached out to Riley and said, Riley, I hate you, but I need you. And he comes over. as part of that track, she says, where are you at? And he says, I'm passing Applebee's. For our iPhone people, or Apple people, this was all done through FaceTime. If you know anything about FaceTime, you can actually, I don't do FaceTime because I hate to see myself on the things, it's a ugly picture, but you can actually see yourself while you're talking to somebody else. And Emma and Riley are having this conversation through FaceTime. And Emma says, no, because Haley says, I think I saw Riley in the area. Emma says, no, it's not Riley. He's driving over here FaceTime, or something to that effect. So while she's talking to him, she can see that he is driving over there. The text, you shouldn't see the text, and I think you will, but base your opinion on what you see in that. I'm just going through the opening statements. Riley shows up, checks the area, and then Jill Walker shows up. Doesn't leave, and he leaves. So we submit to you that you will find that there was consensual contact as relates to the November 19th events. Now, it is true, we did this yesterday, that as it relates to count 5 of the presentment, that charged Mr. Gaul as follows: did unlawfully and recklessly engage in conduct that placed another person in imminent danger of serious bodily injury by discharging a firearm into an occupied habitation. It is true that Mr. Gaul entered a guilty plea to that offense. That's true. This is not the only place that you will find the language of recklessness in the state's presentment that they obtained against Mr. Gaul from the grand jury. In count 2, they alleged that Mr. Gaul unlawfully and intentionally stalked Emma Jane Walker while displaying a deadly weapon and did recklessly cause serious bodily injury. During our jury selection yesterday, talked a little bit about varying levels of homicide. First-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, reckless homicide, criminally negligent homicide. Some of you, I understand, are involved in construction. And if you know anything about construction, even if you don't know anything about construction, if you've ever hung a picture, sometimes you want to find the stuff, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just don't want to get that stuff. But sometimes you do. But I submit to you at the conclusion of this case, standing outside in an emotionally charged relationship after you've been successful in having contact with your girlfriend, however you want to characterize that, with Emma for the last 2 years, on the 18th, by getting an opportunity to speak with her, on the 19th, with coming to her rescue, that Mr. Gaul committed the offense of reckless endangerment with the hope of coming to her rescue, of being her hero. And I suspect that makes very little sense. Riley Gaul was 18 years old and roughly 3 months. Mr. Allen, we sort of rattled swords a little bit yesterday about prejudice and sympathy. But there are times that Riley lied. There are things that will come out in this trial where you won't like him. There are things that will come out in this trial where you won't like what he says. You won't approve of it. You'll think it's awful. But as Mr. Allen told you, and as the court will tell you, and as I will ask you, you cannot have any presence in making a decision. This is a tragedy, including this case, as it relates to the first and seventh counts, as Mr. Allen's commenting to you as the bookend cases for the state. We'll ask you to find Mr. Gaul guilty of reckless homicide. If you believe, as Mr. Allen has just stood here and told you, that the conversation that he had with Emma that night was flipping the switch and that emotion came, then you'll get the instruction as it talks about voluntary manslaughter. It talks about heat of passion. So that'll be something for you to consider. But only especially aggravated stalking charge will ask you to find him not guilty. As it relates to the theft charge over $1,000 or over $500 for this firearm, we'll ask you to find him not guilty. There'll be some lesser included offenses we'll ask you to consider. As it relates to the tampering with evidence, we submit that. Listen to the evidence. Listen to the evidence. And as it relates to the employing a firearm during the commission of especially aggravated stalking, we'll ask that you find him not guilty because he's not guilty of especially aggravated stalking. Judge, if I may hook up to the monitor just a second, please. Just tell me when I can. I'll go going through you.
Everybody needs to unplug so we can make the
Are you plugged in, Mr. Allen? You're not plugged in?
No.
At the conclusion of this case is there are 4 different states of mind in Tennessee. Intentional, and they give you the definition. Knowing, and give you the definition. Reckless, and he'll give you the definition. And negligent. But as you listen to the evidence in this case, know this. As it relates to the first degree premeditated killing in count 1, it requires an intent to kill. And some of us who are familiar with handguns may very well know that by shooting into a wall blindly, it will go through the wall. Some of us may not. Intentionally doing an act and intending to kill are 2 entirely different things. And I think throughout this trial, that distinction will become apparent.